turn off the gadgets. Oops.
Microphones are on. Okay, everyone, it's 5:45. I'd like to go ahead and start the work session for Staunton City Council, October 23rd, 2025. We need a motion to appoint John Blair as acting city clerk.
I move to appoint John Blair as acting city clerk.
Thank you very much.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Or let's
Aye.
call the roll, please, sorry. All right, more formal meeting.
Ms. Park,
Aye.
Mr. Overholzer,
Aye.
Ms. Woods,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Arrowood.
Aye. Had to think about it.
Gotcha.
Congratulations, Mr. Blair. Okay, I'd like to move on to the consideration of the work session and regular meeting agendas.
Vice Mayor Arrowood, I move to approve the work session and regular meeting agendas as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Park,
Aye.
Mr. Overholzer,
Aye.
Ms. Woods,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Arrowood.
Aye. Okay. Next item is discussion of a resolution establishing the City of Staunton 2026 legislative program. Ms. Beauregard,
Mr. Blair will walk through this item this evening.
Blair Show.
All right, so far. Good evening, Vice Mayor Arrowood and Council. How are you all? Great. So before you tonight is the proposed 2026 legislative program. It consists of the Virginia Municipal League's legislative program. It also consists of a position statement from last year. I believe Councilor Campbell and Mayor Edwards were kind of added that to the agenda concerning supporting a 1 cent sales tax referendum for a potential 1 cent increase. Councilor Overholzer is asked to add a position statement to encourage our representatives in the General Assembly to support a bill or bills, if there are multiple, that would require or request manufacturers to use recyclable packaging materials. And then there are 3 more specific requests. One being a request to amend the Freedom of Information Act. Currently, the city's bank account numbers are exempt from disclosure, but our utility account numbers are not. And I have worked with Megan Ryan of the Virginia Coalition for Open Government. Again, this would be a very limited exception to FOIA, but all it would do is cities, counties, and towns, your Dominion bill or your utility bill, the account number would not be FOIAble. All the financial information related to the bill would still be, it's just the 9 digits or however many digits would not be disclosable to the public. And the impetus behind that is to try to prevent fraud. I mean, I think we all know account numbers floating around for anybody's utility bill or any business is not good. The second proposed bill came from our assessor, and it simply changes the term historic landmark to historic district in terms of rehabilitative tax credits. If you take a look, that's the proposed amendment is for commercial property. The residential property statute says historic district. The assessor believes it's supposed to say historic district for commercial, but for whatever reason, it says landmark. District is what Mr. Flynn has asked. I agree. I think it's a scrivener's error when you look at the code sections. And then finally, Mr. Rhodes and Miss Wilson, our new transportation planner, pointed out there's a particular statute in the subdivision code that allows towns in Northern Virginia to require dedication of land in subdivisions for gutter and curb and sidewalk. And I spoke to some folks that I know in Richmond who deal with the General Assembly fairly regularly. Rather than ask for that authority this year, they suggested we asked for a study about extending that to localities in general and not just towns in Northern Virginia. Again, that's at the request of Mr. Rhodes and Miss Wilson. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
That in response to, we don't necessarily have the authority, even if we have a local ordinance in place or.
Right, the authorization for that in the state code to put in your local ordinance just says the towns in one of the planning districts, which is Northern Virginia.
Yeah.
So it might be, I think it would be positive. Again, one of the reasons and that we've discussed is there's this idea of sidewalks to nowhere, and without that authorization, frankly, it's hard to require that with the existing case law as it is. If you have one isolated commercial entity on a corridor, but both sides of it, existing businesses don't have sidewalks or curb or gutter,
Right.
it's hard to say you have to do it. This potential change could potentially help remedy that problem.
Okay, any other questions on that? All right, thank you, Mr. Blair.
Thank you.
All right, and no action is needed on that item tonight, so just informational. All right, our next item is a presentation on the comprehensive plan update process. Ms. Beauregard.
Maggie Taylor is here this evening to provide that update and answer any questions.
Okay, Ms. Taylor.
We're working now. Good evening. I'm happy to be here tonight to give you all an update on the Comprehensive Plan 2045. So as you all know, this process started at the end of last year and is progressing into its final stages with the help of our wonderful consultants, EPR PC. So let's get into it. We've got a lot to go through tonight, but I think I can get through it in about 10 minutes, so there's plenty of time for questions. So this is kind of our project roadmap. The last time I gave an update, we were at task 3, gathering data and starting to identify our community needs. Since then, we've made a big leap forward into tasks 5 and 6. This is the critical phase where we translate all of that public engagement that we've gotten into a clear vision by developing goals and strategies for each chapter of the plan. So this work has been driven by 2 main efforts since May. First, a successful community-wide workshop in June, and then 2 more rounds of stakeholder meetings with our 10 groups. And as a reminder, we have 1 stakeholder group for each chapter of the plan. So we started by, so what I'm going to do today is walk you through how we developed these goals and strategies, and then at the end, I'll share those goals with you. So we started by developing the goals with our steering committee based on what we learned in the first rounds of engagement. Here. And then we sent each group a set of draft goals for their specific chapter and asked them to provide feedback. So we sent all of the goals and strategies to their respective stakeholder group. As you can see on these slides, the feedback was pretty extensive, and I'm not going to read every bullet point on here, but I will just kind of pull out a few interconnected themes that we started to see. So the first was that there is a clear link between economic development and housing. Our stakeholders made it clear that industry follows talent, and you can't have a strong workforce if people can't afford to live here. So the need for attainable, diverse housing, it's not just a housing issue, it's an economic issue also for the city. Similarly, in transportation, the feedback wasn't just about car traffic. It was about creating a system for all users, drivers, pedestrians, and bicyclists, and improving public transit overall, which directly connects to a housing goal we had of creating more accessible neighborhoods. And we saw these kind of themes continue. Health and Human Services and Public Safety both stressed the need to support our vulnerable populations, from addressing food insecurity to ensuring our first responders are equipped to handle mental and physical health-related calls. Finally, some feedback on the cultural environment and recreation all kind of pointed to one single idea that we must celebrate and protect Stanton's unique character. So that means protecting our historic buildings, but then also the artists and culture that are inside of those buildings. It means protecting our natural landscapes and also making our city parks and green spaces more accessible and well-maintained. So that was just some of what we learned from our second round of stakeholder engagement. And then we have our summer community workshop. So after those stakeholder meetings, we took the goals and we refined them even more. And then we took them to the community at our second community workshop, which was June 25th at Staunton High School. We had a really fantastic turnout. There were over 100 residents there, and we used an interactive open house format, no formal presentation, just engagement, pretty similar to the first one. We had 15 staff and volunteers managing 5 different stations to guide people through activities and, most importantly, listening to what everyone had to say. So some results. So what we heard from the residents at the community meeting was actually very consistent with the stakeholder feedback. So that was really nice to see. So first, we had people kind of warm up with some stations to get them in that future and aspirational mindset. So at Station 1, we asked people to write headlines of the future. And we saw themes like a city that is highly walkable, bike-friendly, has more diverse and affordable housing, and sees key areas like the West End and Uniontown revitalized. At Station 2, we asked how and where Staunton should grow, and the message was clear there too. Residents overwhelmingly favor adaptive reuse, infill development, and redevelopment of older properties. And then at Station 3, we showed them images of different development styles. And there again, they consistently favored the traditional human-scaled architecture that kind of reflects Stanton's character, that Main Street style, mixed-use buildings that are a little more walkable. And then the next 3 stations were where people could actually take a look at the specific goals and strategies that we were proposing and provide feedback. So with the built community, which covers economic, housing, transportation, and public infrastructure, residents echoed the need to support local businesses, offer transportation options, and maintain our core water and sewer infrastructure. And then for our people station, which is education, health and human services, and public safety and welfare, their focus was on supporting schools, expanding vocational training, and providing more resources for vulnerable and unsheltered residents. And then at our culture station, which is environmental resources, culture, arts, historic preservation, and recreation, the community indicated a desire to prevent sprawl, celebrate our local artists, and develop more green ways to connect to our parks. Overall, the key takeaway from all of this engagement is that a consistent vision is definitely emerging, and I would say it's a vision of a city that grows smartly, invests in its core, protects character, and takes care of its people. So now that I've kind of gone over what went into drafting those goals, here they are. And I am, the next few slides are very text heavy and I am not going to read them all to you. I don't think you want me to do that. It would get very boring. But they are here as a reference for you all to go back and look at and kind of see how we've translated that public vision into a more formal plan structure. And as a reminder, the plan kind of follows that outline at the top. So you have a goal, and then it goes down to a more detailed strategy that will ultimately lead to a specific measurable tactic. So we're only looking at the goals and strategies right now. The tactics are actually what we are working on right now, and I'll talk a little bit more about those at the end. Let's see. So for example, on the transportation slide, there's a goal there, make it safe. The strategies under that would include something like establish a robust bike network. And then the plan's tactic under that would be a more specific action like implement priority projects through the bike and pedestrian plan. So it kind of starts really broad, gets a little more specific, and then even more specific, how are we going to do this? So as you can see, we've applied this goal strategy framework to every single chapter. And this structure ensures that every action we recommend in the plan is directly tied to a goal that the community has helped us define. And I'm happy to dive into any of these if you have questions, but I really just wanted to kind of show them to you. So here they are. There's another one. Health and Human Services, public safety, land use. And actually, land use in the plan, it will come at the beginning. I put it on the last slide here, though, because the next slide is about our future land use map update. I can pause, though. Does anyone have any questions on the goals part?
Well, in the land use part, I know in the past we asked for specific guidance on ag forestal areas. Have you guys started to dig into that?
Yes, we have started to talk a little bit about that. I think a lot more of that is going to emerge when we get to the specific tactics there. Yes, that has definitely come up. Okay. So I'm going to change gears just a little bit to talk about the future land use map update. One of the most significant changes to come from this process is an update to our future land use map. So the 2018 map, which is what's up there now, has 17 different land use categories. It's pretty complicated and it doesn't fully align with the inward growth that the community has expressed. And honestly, it's really too many categories for a community of our size. Future land use maps are intended to be more general and identify the characteristics of future growth areas. And our current future land use map looks a little bit more like a zoning map than a future land use map. So what we are proposing is a simplification and condensing those 17 categories down to 10. It makes the map a more user-friendly and effective tool for development. So as you can see, some of those have kind of been grouped into and then brought over into a smaller category. And I'll also highlight two key changes. The first, we are creating a new downtown core designation, specifically to protect the unique character of our city center. So right now, downtown and Richmond Avenue actually have the same designation. And I think we can all agree that those kind of feel like two very different spaces. So putting some clarification in there, I think will help. Also, we are establishing a mixed use corridor, and this was a direct response to the public feedback we got. And will be used to encourage that kind of vibrant, walkable Main Street style development in appropriate areas. We actually just held a workshop with our steering committee last night to talk about where we will be applying these new designations. And over the next couple of weeks, we'll be working with our consultants to develop a few different versions of what the new future land use map could potentially look like. And we will be taking those versions to our next community meeting so that people will have a chance to look at it and provide feedback and kind of tell us what they want to see there. All right. So what's next? Where do we go from here? We just finished our final round of stakeholder meetings, round 3, and that was to review those specific actions that will support the strategies. And they will now go through a very similar process that the goals and strategies went through. We have sent them through the stakeholder meetings, so now we're going to refine them a little more, and then we will take them out to the community at the next community meeting and get even more feedback there. And speaking of our next community meeting, It is Monday, November 10th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at Bessie Weller Elementary School. We're holding this one at Bessie Weller instead of Staunton High School, just to kind of ensure that we're reaching residents on a different side of the city. So we hope that you all will be able to attend and help spread the word, try to get as many people out there. We're hoping to break our records from the first and second meeting. And then following that meeting, we will launch a citywide online survey, probably in early 2026, to gather final comments on all of the draft materials. And then our goal is to analyze that feedback and bring a more complete draft to the Planning Commission and then to you all for public hearings and consideration sometime in the spring of 2026. So that is all I have for you all tonight, and I would be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Taylor.
Mhm.
Questions from council?
Ooh, that's a lot of work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
Thorough.
thank you all. Thank you,
Just to
everybody.
clarify, so the November 10th, we'll be presenting goals and strategies. Are we getting down to tactics level or?
Yes. Yeah.
All
we-
right, so
we
we're
will be
going
down.
all the way down? Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then again, it's going to be, as we discussed at our workshop last night, it's going to be some examples of what future land use could look like based on the
Right.
feedback. And then
Yes.
additional public feedback will help.
Yeah, we
focus-
won't be just
focus that
presenting
effort.
like one future land use map, like here's what we're gonna do. There's gonna be a few different versions for people to react to. So,
And just to share, we talked last night at the workshop, we talked about the importance of making sure we educate people on the difference between zoning and land use, that
Yeah.
this is where we want the city to go. We're not impacting your property in the present. Just a
Will not
vision for where
rezone,
we're
yeah.
going, we want to go in the future.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, thank you. That's a good idea.
Oh.
Sorry, next week, I will be going into the high school and I'll be talking to one of the local government classes. Well, actually, I think all of the local government classes I'll be talking to. And then they will be doing a week-long project where they go out and they interview their peers and they do some research and then they come up with one big idea for Stan's future. We might even have them participate in this community workshop.
Oh,
So
fun.
that's
Okay.
still being worked out. But yeah, no, I'm very excited to see what kind of projects they come up with.
That's
great.
great for you.
Get them signed up for a commission.
Yeah, and sometimes it's really hard to get the youth engagement on these kind of plans because they don't want to participate, but we are going to them and we are making them.
Yeah.
So,
Entice them with extra credit.
yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Ms. Taylor. Anyone else? Okay,
Thank you.
great. Great update. Sounds like a lot going on.
Yes.
Let's see, our next item is implementation update on the Community Development Department permitting software and Spark, oh no, I see.
Yeah, we've got several folks coming up tonight. Then we've got Linda Nesselrod and Zach Henry,
Okay.
and they're working really hard on this project. Provide an update and answer any questions.
Welcome.
Yeah. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having us here. As you said, Linda Nesselrod and Zach Henry from IT. I'm more of the subject matter expert and Zach is the IT expert in regards to the implementation of it. So the city of Staunton is implementing a new cloud-based enterprise permitting and licensing system to modernize and integrate the permitting process across all divisions of community development. Currently, the city uses Munis, which is a Tyler Technologies product within the department to receive and track permitting and code enforcement activities. However, the planning and environmental divisions primarily use Munis for payment processing, while their review workflows, such as plats, site plans, land disturbance activities, and stormwater management, are handled through separate internal processes. This approach has created inefficiencies and limited coordination across the divisions over the years. Since 2021, staff has evaluated multiple software platforms to find a solution that would meet the needs of all the divisions. In the spring of 2023, staff initiated discussions with Tyler Technologies. And at the end of March of 24, the contract was finalized for the services for the program. And we had kickoff June 4th of 2024. The new system will allow citizens and contractors to apply for permits online, where they upload the required documents for review, make secure payments, receive approvals, and request all their necessary inspections and obtain occupancy certificates. They can track their application status and access plans and documents anytime via the Citizen Self-Service Portal. Currently, an applicant for a building permit is required to come into the office to submit plans for review or mail their applications in. We do have limited availability for having the applications emailed in and processing and paying over the phone, but mostly everybody comes into the office. There can be multiple visits to the office that include amending plans, bringing in more information needed, picking up approved permits and documents, or paying for re-inspection fees. Some of those they do over the phone, but other times people have to come in with a check. So this system will reduce the in-need person visits and phone calls while improving transparency and convenience for users. The Citizen Self-Service Portal also features an interactive map showing neighborhood activity, tiles for estimating fees, searching for public records, along with managing their requests. For staff, the system offers streamlined workflows across the divisions, automated prompts for deadlines and tasks, centralized documentation to prevent loss or misplacement. Sometimes, those folders, they get stuck behind one over the other. Mobile access for plans for inspectors in the field on their tablets, and reduced processing times and improved coordination between the departments. The department has already had a cutback on paper usage and with the use of iPads for the Historic Preservation Commission and Planning Commission. So this is definitely going to cut down on paper as well as the storage of the paper. So it's definitely a great thing. The project is being implemented in 6 key phases. First, we had assess and define, where we had to map out all the existing processes for the divisions. We had configuration, where we built out the system with both internal staff and citizen-facing interfaces, including permit and plan types, review steps, inspections, creating permit forms, notifications, as well as document handling. We are currently in the product testing phase, where every process is being tested from submittal to approval. This includes integration with Bluebeam for plan review and pilot testing with local contractors to ensure the citizen portal runs smoothly. The next phase will be training, where all relevant city staff will be trained on how to process the applications, conduct reviews, and use the system effectively. There will be a pre-go live phase where staff will develop user-friendly guides and work with Josh on engagement and communications to inform citizens about the new portal and how to use it. And lastly, the go live phase, where the citizen portal and the back office system will launch simultaneously. At this time, citizens will be encouraged, but not required, to use the online portal. Heavy on encouraged to use it. The in-person application experience will remain the same for those that do not wish to use the online portal. They can still come in, bring their paper applications. We'll just process it on the backside as if it's going through, because we'll do the electronic plan review and all of that. And then we'll still we'll print out a paper permit and give it to them, and they can call us and request inspection. So all that will stay the same. If they don't want to, we still have folks that, they don't like to use the online portion of it. We have had some challenges in the project. We are a very small implementation team of 2. And we work weekly on moving the project forward, and we've had some delays due to software issues, which Tyler Technologies is actively addressing. We have project meetings with them where they work through with the developers to try and get everything addressed. At this time, we're looking, as far as the target launch, we're aiming for spring of 2026, contingent on the software issues being resolved. So that's the update I have for you. I'm happy to answer any questions. It's a really exciting thing. We've been working on it a long time. Before Rodney, Director Billy Vaughn, that was one of his major projects he wanted us to get done. So we're excited about it.
Well, it's exciting to hear this going forward. As someone, when I was building for Habitat, the first few housing permits, I really needed a lot of help in person, dealing with. But after that, it would have been nice to be able to not have to come in for everything.
Absolutely.
Great. It's a great thing moving forward on that. But I like that you're keeping the in-person part of it for anybody that needs help.
Mhm.
Definitely a complicated process. But
Like-
any questions?
Is it pretty much an off-the-shelf tool from Taylor? Is there much customization involved?
So it is, they have an off-the-shelf portion of it, but we have to go through and every process, we have to write into the system and all of the, when you have to fire off notices to certain people, you have to build all that out. So it's thinking of your processes, then every little individual step, and we've worked on setting out and configuring all that.
You're not creating sort of one-off custom coding just for Staunton. You're using the standard product, but incorporating the city's workflows.
Mostly, yeah. We did spend a lot of time with Zach writing reports and for all of our building permits and all of the permits that generally they're out of the box, didn't meet what we need. So he spent a lot of time working on those. So so it's definitely an interesting project.
I'm really happy to hear that you are doing vigorous pilot testing. That's really important part to be sure that it works the way that you intend, not just from the expert point of view, but for all the stakeholders out there. Are there others besides the contractors who are included in that stakeholder group that are doing the hands-on testing?
So we haven't started testing with them yet, but we definitely wanted to get their input as they use the system a lot. And especially since they may be contractors that are local that are working with Augusta County or Waynesboro as well, because we're all on the same system, we'll all be on the same system with different things. So just so we can kind of keep it across the board, the same experience, but so that we don't have issues with it. But right now, we're just looking at contractors.
You manage access. So say Brad is his project that he's working on. How does he have to create an account? How does that work?
Yes, every user that logs into the system will need to create an account and everything is tracked through that. Basically, it's by email. What the email that they use, that's their user account, and all their projects will be under that account.
That have a self-service password management so you don't answer hundreds of calls saying, I lost my password. Can you please fix it?
Yes, yes.
Does this system assist residents that aren't experienced with the permitting process of maybe telling them what they need based on what they are trying to do? Or do you still have to have that background knowledge of exactly what you need in order to do a project?
We will be developing like user manuals and like
Like a
how
flow
to and they'll all be on the website, right there, so that if you wanted to click on them, so that you know what documents you need to submit, what all you need to submit with, the information, things like that. Before they apply, they'll read through that and know what they need.
Okay. And then you said that there's a mapping component of this that actually shows different applications throughout the city.
Right, so the system is GIS based, so it's all by the addressing, and when you go into the system, there's a tile that you can click on, and you can see neighborhoods and the permits that are there, the projects, things like that.
That's
You can
that's a
click on.
public facing resource that anyone could access.
Yes,
Okay.
anyone can access. If you want to correct me if I'm wrong, down into the viewing of the permits, you do need to log in. Yes. You do need to log in to actually see it.
Great step forward.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's nice to hear this is going forward on it. So any other questions from Rod? Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, and that completes the work session. Today we'll be on break until the regular meeting starts at 7. Okay, it's now 7 o'clock, and I'd like to call the October 23rd, 2025 regular meeting of the Staunton City Council to order. And please stand as you're able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and Councilman Jeff Overholzer has this evening's invocation.
Yes, the invocation will be brought to us this evening by Rabbi Randy C. Nagel, who has led Temple House of Israel in Staunton since 2019. Before she gets up and gives her invocation, I have a little bit of context and background. They have a big celebration that they're going to have this year. So I want to give a little background about the Jewish community, which has a long and storied history in Staunton. The congregation Temple House of Israel was formed in the mid-1800s by a group of downtown merchants who met regularly in each other's homes. And those merchants of the 1800s had an outsized impact on downtown Staunton. They built large, thriving businesses, some of them the equivalent of big box stores of today. They erected some of the city's most beautiful historic buildings, some of which still bear their names today. And they served on city council and on many local civic organizations. These were people like Morris Jacob and Amos Klotz, the brothers who started a scrap and salvage business in the building now occupied by Sunspots. Moses Walter, who started Augusta Fruit and Produce. Louis Cohen, who started Cohen's Restaurant. Isaac Witz, who started Witz's furniture store. His son Julius was mayor of Staunton from 1928 to 1932. David Switzer of the D.L. Switzer Jewelry Store, which is currently the gorgeous terracotta building occupied by Shenandoah Pizza. And then more recently, we have Benny Sragowitz, owner of the multi-generational Benny's Shoe Store, which was located almost directly across from City Hall. And some of us knew Benny before he died in the early 2000s. But eventually, Temple House of Israel bought land from Mary Baldwin College and commissioned noted architect T.J. Collins to build a temple in the 1920s. And that beautiful structure, located just a few blocks from City Hall, is now a signature building of Staunton and featured in historic Staunton Foundation's tours of the city. And I just learned that the Temple House of Israel will be celebrating two huge anniversaries in December. The 100th and 150th anniversary of the establishment of the congregation in Staunton, and the 100th anniversary of the T.J. Collins designed building, the temple that I just spoke of. And the entire community is invited to a Shabbat service at the Temple House of Israel on December 5th at 7 p.m. and then at the Frontier Culture Museum on December 6th at 7 p.m. And their guests, they're going to have a special speaker, Rabbi Gary Zola, who's the former executive director of the Jacob Rader Marcus Center of the American Jewish Archives, the world's largest freestanding research center dedicated solely to the study of the American Jewish experience. So with that, I'd like to invite Rabbi Nagel to come up and provide the invocation. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's really an honor to be able to be here this evening and for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you to the community. We pause for just a moment. Ribono Shel Olam, Creator of the universe and God of us all, we implore you this day to extend your loving kindness to the city of Staunton, the citizens, and all who work with them on their behalf. Help this council to realize their potential so they may respond with initiative and resourcefulness to the trust that has been bestowed to them. Cause them to remember that by serving its inhabitants, they are ultimately upholding the highest ideals of public service and community trust. May the needs of every neighborhood, every family, and every individual citizen of Staunton be visible in their deliberations, and may they serve with a profound sense of accountability to the diverse voices in our community. Make them conscious of their responsibility as leaders of this city so that by the examples they set and the policies they adopt, they embody the best qualities of all of us. Grant them the wisdom to learn from past mistakes, the courage to think new thoughts, and the ability to discern innovative ideas. May we listen to one another with respect, judge each other with charity, and may any controversy only be for the sake of the good of this city. God bless this vibrant and diverse city. May we always remain a beacon of freedom, creativity, and imagination, a growing, livable, and welcoming place that builds upon its great past toward an even greater future. We pray that with your help and the thoughtful leadership of this council, it may be so. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rabbi, and thank you, Mr. Overholzer. Okay, moving on to the mayor's report. Now I'm in fact the vice mayor. Michelle is not feeling well and isn't here tonight. She didn't want to come in and breathe on all of us, which I appreciate. So just shifted over a little bit here, but a lot happened in the last couple of weeks here. Let's see, we had the NAACP banquet, which is just always a great event. It's like getting together with a whole bunch of friends, and it was a fun evening. We also had the Pride Festival happen. That was huge attendance and just a lot of fun. Attended the Staunton West End Business Association group, and they have a lot going on. They're making holiday plans for all the businesses there, and they're getting ready to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Van Fossen Iron Works there in the West End too. So they have a Business After 5 coming up, a celebration there. There was also a Building Bridges for the Greater Good event in Waynesboro about teen homelessness in the school, which is really an eye-opening situation. There are, I believe, 54 kids in Waynesboro city schools that are homeless or unhoused, and they talked about how they help deal with that and help do that as well. And that's also an issue faced in Staunton and in the county too. You notice we're all coordinated tonight. It is, in fact, Kindness Month for Staunton City Schools. So we all wore our Kindness Matters shirts. October is Kindness Month. And let's see, last but not least, on our consent agenda tonight, you'll see a consideration of resolution to establish City of Staunton Housing Commission, which I'm very excited about. This has been a long process. We're just starting to figure out the makeup of this. We want this to be a good, diverse group of people that can give their perspectives on how the city can help with the housing crisis and what we can do to make a real and lasting impact and help with this. So, okay, any items by other members of council?
Vice Mayor, I think you had a mouthful and we all attended those.
Well, you guys went to VML though.
Yes.
So the opening of the animal shelter is coming up,
yes.
this ribbon cutting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was an amazing turnout for the our new animal shelter at the former Verona Elementary School earlier this week.
Yeah, that thing is 8 times as much capacity, 8 times as much space.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great example of reusing a existing building for something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the good news for the community is they expect that it'll result in higher adoption rates and better treatment for the animals, of course. It's a fantastic facility and a great example of intergovernmental cooperation. Staunton, Augusta County and Waynesboro working together on that. I wanted to add that I attended the 85th anniversary of the Staunton First Church of the Nazarene last Sunday, and many thanks to Pastor Rob Gilmer and the congregation for welcoming me and for their service to the community for the last 85 years. I joined, speaking of Staunton West End Business Association, I joined them on Saturday morning to pick up trash, along with Rodney Rhodes of the city. He was there as well. And they are among the more than half a dozen organizations and individuals that recently joined the city's Adopt a Spot program to keep city streets and waterways clean. So many thanks to SWEBA and the other groups that are making a difference in helping make Staunton a green, clean city.
And I'll just share, we discussed it at the work session a little bit ago, but for everyone here now, I'll just share that we have our next comprehensive plan update, public open house, Monday, November 10th from 5:30 to 7 at Bessie Weller Elementary School. We will be presenting, the comprehensive plan is kind of the city's state required 20-year vision of where we want to go. So we will be presenting the draft goals and strategies to address the future needs of the city. So that's an opportunity for the public to come out and look at those and provide feedback to help finalize that document.
Okay. Anyone? Councilwoman Woods, hey. We have nominations.
Oh, yes, we do. Look, I was going to forget all about that. So the nominations committee moves to make the following appointments: to appoint Liliana DeMayo to the Youth Commission for a 3-year term beginning November 1st, 2025 and ending October 31st, 2028. To appoint Natalie Slater to the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission to fill the unexpired term of Raven Moore ending September 30th, 2027. To reappoint Chris O'Kay and Jonathan Mason to the Staunton Redevelopment and Housing Authority for a 4-year term beginning November 1st, 2025 and ending October 31st, 2029. And I just want to say for Staunton City residents, we still have openings on our boards and commissions. So take a look and see where you like to volunteer and serve the city in that manner. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Woods. Now we need a motion to approve.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the appointments to the committees that I'm not reading the right thing.
No,
Mr.
because we
Vice
don't
Mayor,
need to make a
I think
motion.
Ms. Woods was the motion.
Oh, I'm
That
sorry.
was-
Yeah, okay.
Oh, she
Thank you
made the
very
motion.
much.
Need to
This is
call
say,
the
yeah,
roll.
I'm not sorry to throw that spoke in the wheel
Did
there.
I
I'm
need to-
like, wait a minute.
That is a motion.
I need a
now.
second.
Yeah, well,
Well,
we don't need a second for it,
It's
so.
committee.
You just call
Ah,
the roll.
yes,
Okay.
Robert's rules. Thank you very much. Okay, if you'd call the roll.
Yes, sir. Ms. Woods,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Overholzer,
Aye.
Ms. Park,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Arrowood.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much. Now, moving on to item A, the consent agenda. Per procedure memorandum number 14, it is the policy of city council to have routine, non-controversial items placed on a consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda will be voted on in one motion. If separate discussion of an item is requested by any member of council, that item shall be removed and considered separately at the end of the regular meeting agenda. Do any council members wish to remove any of the items to be placed at the end of the regular meeting agenda for separate consideration? Okay, hearing none, I will now entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Overholzer.
I'll second.
Move and second, Mr. Blair.
Ms. Woods,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Overholzer,
Aye.
Ms. Park,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Arrowood.
Aye. Rolling right along. Oaths of office, we have Deputy Chief Adam Dolan, Captain Justin Siren, Lieutenant Jordan Taylor, and Lieutenant Bradley Goodbar. Ms. Beauregard.
So I'd like to introduce Deputy Fire Chief Brian Butler, who will say a few words, and then Vice Mayor Arrowood will read the oaths, and we will have some pinning ceremonies and lots of pictures.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and members of City Council. come before you this evening to acknowledge several recent promotions we had in our department. We're proud to recognize these individuals and the hard work and dedication and service to our community. So at this time, I would like to bring them forward and they can get pinned and do the oath of office, please. So Captain Dolan, Chief Dolan now, come on up, and his family.
Everybody gather. Beautiful family. Okay, repeat after me. I, Adam Dolan, do solemnly swear
I, Adam Dolan, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
to support the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent upon me
all the duties incumbent upon me
as the Deputy Chief for the City of Staunton,
as the Deputy Chief of the City of Staunton,
Fire and Rescue Department. According to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Fixing complicated items right.
Down, Brad. Come down there right now.
Two. And 1, 2.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Captain Justice Iron.
All right, are you ready? Okay. I, Justin Siren, do solemnly swear
I, Justin Siren, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent upon me
all the duties incumbent upon me
as a captain for the City of Staunton,
as a captain of the City of Staunton,
Fire and Rescue Department,
Fire and Rescue Department,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
1, 2, 3. And 1. One, two. I, Jordan Taylor, do solemnly swear
I, Jordan Taylor, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent upon me
all the duties incumbent upon me,
as a lieutenant for the city of Stanton,
all the duties of,
as a
Sorry.
lieutenant for the city of Stanton,
as a lieutenant for the city of Staunton,
Fire and Rescue Department,
Fire Rescue Department,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me
So
God.
help me God.
Congratulations, sir.
Lieutenant Bradley Goodbar.
I, Bradley Goodbar, do solemnly swear
I, Bradley Goodbar, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent upon me
all the duties incumbent upon me
as a lieutenant for the city of Stanton,
as a lieutenant for the city of Staunton,
Fire and Rescue Department,
Fire and Rescue Department,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
1, 2, 3. 4, 1, 2. All right. 1, 2, 3. 4, 1, 2.
Congratulations, all of you guys.
Okay. Well, congratulations, everybody, on that. It's just great to see everybody moving forward with this. We have such a great fire department here. Well awarded. Now, item C is the update on daylighting feasibility study. Ms. Beauregard?
Yes, Ms. Willow Hughes is back with us this evening. If you recall, we introduced the feasibility study at the September 25th work session, and she's here this evening to provide an update based on some input that you provided and a revised scope. So I'm going to let her go ahead and do that. Thank you.
Ms. Hughes.
Good evening, everyone. So yes, at the September 25th work session, I presented the scope of work to look at whether or not daylighting the wharf is going to be feasible. And at that time, council agreed to request the 2 modifications be made to the scope to ensure it better aligns with your all's vision for the wharf. So I went back to our consultant, Wiley Wilson, requested those changes, and I now have an updated scope for you all. The full version is in your agenda packet, but I'm just going to quickly go through what is different and then answer any questions you all might have. So the first modification was to remove all considerations of daylighting the streams in a concrete channel. You all said you had no interest in seeing the streams that way, so that has been completely removed. So speaking of the channels and the scenarios, if you all remember my previous presentation, I walked you through a sort of confusing table that had 6 different scenarios. With the concrete channel scenarios removed, it's a lot simpler and there are just 3 scenarios. So the first one will essentially be leaving the streams in their tunnels, but repairing or replacing the damaged sections. The second one would be just daylighting the tunnel that carries Peyton Creek. And the third one would be daylighting both the Peyton Creek Tunnel and the Lewis Creek Tunnel in the wharf. And then again, the daylighting now just that would be a completely natural channel. And then as with the last scope, we will still see a grading plan and a site plan kind of at a preliminary level, as well as stormwater modeling scenarios for each of those. And then the second modification you all requested was to add an estimated cost comparison for long-term maintenance of a confined tunnel versus an open channel, and that has also been added. So with both modifications, the new cost for the study comes to $159,000, which isn't much different than the original cost, but I'll just remind you all that we both took away and added to the original scope. So that should cover all the updates, and just in general, the only things that have been changed are to reflect those requested modifications. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
There was consensus among the, I'm assuming from staff and the consultant that a version that looked at just daylighting Peyton. I know you said last update that there were challenges with that one, just looking at it independently. I'm assuming that's why that we don't have an alternative.
Yeah, they don't believe there is enough room to get Lewis Creek in a completely natural tunnel. It would just there's not enough space to get it low enough so that it's not a really steep drop
Just a straight channel, yeah.
So what is the anticipated next step after completion of this study? Would we still need to do a detailed, if, say, for instance, we decide based on the numbers, the scenarios and the findings that we want to proceed with daylighting? Would we need to engage a firm to do a detailed analysis and scope of that daylighting project? Would that be an additional step, or would we consider the outcome of this to be the design?
The outcome of this will not be specific enough to actually be a design. It would kind of be just really high level that it's possible. And the next step, if that is the route you all wanted to go, would be to get something more specific for whichever scenario you all choose.
That's helpful to me because the things that it's pretty much an engineering study that looks at the technical basis of daylighting and the impacts in terms of the flows and the cost for doing that. But it doesn't include some of the wider context of what it would take, for instance, to include the farmer's market or a performance space, optimizing pedestrian access and flows, that sort of general concept of creating a welcoming space, whatever that looks like. And we haven't delved into those details. So
Correct.
you're saying all those pieces would be part of a detailed plan?
A
that would
later
be
step,
yet
yes,
to
that
come.
would be a later step, yes.
Was there any feedback from the consultant from our asked that the daylighting should look at a maximum potential amount that we could always scale back? Was there any feedback if they agreed on that approach?
That is the approach they're generally going to take for the natural channels.
Okay.
They're going to see what works best, but they know they can use the whole wharf
Okay.
parking lot. Yes.
And this potential design could mitigate flooding, some of the flooding issues of downtown.
So the tunnels now are not at a 10-year capacity, not even, they can't handle a 10-year storm.
Hmm.
The hope is that we could get it to that point. That's not really significant, but it is better than what we have now.
Right. And so where we're daylighting, it has a slope. That was the Peyton challenge, is that you can't do any sloping at all. But in the open areas where we are daylighting, that will take up more space for more plantings and.
Yes, and the real restriction is everything after the wharf. So we're just not going to be able to get significant flooding, but without a combined tunnel, it would have a little bit more room to spread out. So we could get a little bit more water moving through there.
Do we have a good basis of what happens to the wharf during a 10-year event?
Not necessarily. We are kind of keeping that in mind as we have the flood sensors in place. Since we've had them in place, though, we haven't had any sort of
Right.
standing water in the wharf, but we do know that at least the Lewis Creek tunnel cannot hold a 10-year storm.
Okay.
The Peyton Creek can up until where they meet.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of, we had the catastrophic event, but do we have a good understanding of what happens for a? Yeah.
Can't handle a 10-year. Anyone else? Any other questions for Ms. Hughes?
Was there any consideration about other scenarios other than the described paths of the streams in the schematic, basically corresponding to where they are now, basically bringing them above ground? Was there any thought about other scenarios that maybe would optimize the flooding situation, a meander, incorporating curves or changing the directions in any way?
I had some high level conversations about what other things could be done. And a lot of it is unrealistic in terms of what path the stream could take. that is something the study could look at because they're gonna kind of toy with it to see what fits best and what will actually give the 10-year capacity. I don't think they plan to alter it a ton, but it is part of what this study looks at is how it's feasible to daylight it and what that looks like.
Anything further?
I'll just take this opportunity to say congratulations for completing the Virginia Women's Municipal Leadership Institute through Virginia Tech. As
Thank
a
you.
fellow Hokie.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Ms. Hughes.
And
Thank you,
putting
guys.
it to work.
Instantly. Okay, no action required on that. Now, that brings
Well, I
us.
did create a little motion. I'm
is-
sorry. There was a.
Oh, is there?
little-
one
Yeah,
on
just
that?
a little
Okay, I'm
motion.
sorry. I
just to
skipped right
prove-
over that. Oh, yes, of course. There we go. Okay, looking for a motion.
Vice Mayor Arrowood, I move to proceed with the scope as presented for the WARF daylighting feasibility study.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Woods.
Second.
Campbell, motion and a second. Mr. Blair.
Ms. Woods,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Overholzer,
Aye.
Ms. Park,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Arrowood.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Thank you very much. Right, moving on to matters from the city manager, Ms. Beauregard.
Yes, thank you. I have a few things. First, this is the last weekend of Shop and Dine Out, and I just looked at the weather and it's going to be cool and sunny. So thanks everybody for another great season. So hope everybody can enjoy that this weekend. Early voting has started and will continue weekdays from 9 to 5 through Friday, October 31st, which is next Friday. This Saturday is the first in-person early voting from 9 to 5 here in City Hall. And there will also be another early voting period in City Hall on November 1st from 9 to 5. There are curbside voting areas outside off of Central, which you can see. There's signage out there. And Election Day is Tuesday, November 4th. There is no voting in City Hall on Election Day. Please go to your precinct if you plan to vote on Election Day. The next yard waste bin pickup is Wednesday, November 5th, and this is for those who have city-issued yard waste bins. And this is separate from leaf collection, which will start the week of November 3rd. And if you'd like to put your loose leaves out, please do that. Put them on the curb and the street right of way. Please keep them away from storm drains, and please don't put rocks, branches, or other debris in the pile. Because they can damage collection equipment if they're picked up like that. And please make sure you don't block sidewalks or other pedestrian paths. So that begins the week of November 3rd. Let's see, the Veterans Day is coming up, and the city a few years ago started honoring Veterans Day. That's on Tuesday, November 11th. So city offices and facilities will be closed. And customers that have trash collection on that day will have it collected on Wednesday, November 12th. A press release will be out soon about that. And that's all I have this evening.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Beauregard. Let's see, our last item on the agenda is entitled Matters from the Public. It is a time that council sets aside to hear from citizens and others about a wide variety of subjects. A copy of the Staunton City Council's Matters from the Public rules are available in paper form at the clerk's desk and online on the City of Staunton's webpage. You're asked to please familiarize yourself with those rules before commenting. If you'd like to speak, please come to the podium now or raise your hand on Zoom. First, give us your name and address and complete your remarks within 5 minutes. And as a reminder, this is a time for council to listen. If you'd like an answer to a question or follow up on your comment, please speak with the city manager, Leslie Beauregard, following the meeting. Anyone? Yes, sir.
Everyone a piece of paper. Okay, just Steve's have and they just one.
Already got it. Sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm Mark Hopperly at 563 Hilltop Drive in Stanton. That's just a copy of the flock contract with the city. I know you guys are busy. I don't know if anybody's read it or not. I know everybody obviously didn't take the time to sign it. It was the manager. But I just wanted to say, let's think about the best of our city police like we should. I believe Chief Williams, I think he's a good guy. And would try not to share our information. Last meeting, Chief Williams was asked what he would do if ICE or some other federal agency would ask for information, and he kind of talked about it and came up with a reasonable answer. But I think it's important to note that neither Chief Williams, Stanton City Police officers, or the city of Stanton has full control over the data. And I went through the contract and, this is partially due to the fact that the cameras are actually on Flock's database. They're not on our database. We have to retrieve them. But I looked at, section 5.3 that I've highlighted a little bit there. It says, quote, disclosure of footage subject to and during the retention period. The Flock may access, use, preserve, and or disclose footage to law enforcement authorities, government officials, which we could include the federal government, and third parties, which who knows who that might be, if it's required to do so, or Flock has a good faith belief that such access, use, preservation, or disclosure is reasonably necessary to comply with the legal process. And it goes through other things, including privacy, fraud, or technical issues, or an emergency, which emergency can be pretty broad. So basically, as I see it, as ICE and government agencies, as well as third parties, which could include AT&T or Google, for instance, do not need Chief Williams or the city of Stanton's approval to get our personal data. They simply can go, whoever can go straight to Flock and bypass our chief of police. I want to look at some recent instances that I've found after a casual internet search. Last month, a federal jury agreed to that Google was liable for $425 million for tracking users online, even when they took advantage of the privacy settings. That amounts to a whole $4 per person. And then last year, there was a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit against Google for doing a similar thing that was settled out of court. And this was according to Fox 46 out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Last year, AT&T got hacked and agreed to pay $177 million for a data breach. Those are big companies. As the legal analyst for Fox 46 said in the video I watched, he said, data is the new oil. It's the new gold. It's valuable, and people want to hack it. And that does include your location, your auto information, your license plates, and so on that's out there floating around. According to the signed contract that we have with Flock, customers, of course, City of Stanton, and the owner is we own the consumer data we're paying to access it. Section 4.1, on the second page I gave you, the customer hereby grants Flock a limited, non-exclusive, royalty-free, irrevocable, worldwide license to use customer data, which is our location and stuff, and perform all acts as may be necessary for Flock to provide services to the customer. So how do we know that Flock won't have, with their 90,000 cameras, won't have what AT&T had or Google had or anything else? In section 8.6, it says parties are not responsible or liable for any going along here, failures of performance or any cause, including but not limited to changes to laws, acts of hackers is included. So Flock has conveniently already exonerated themselves from it. Also consider that every single Lowe's and Home Depot in the country now uses Flock license plate reader cameras, and they also have something to do. They're connected with Ring cameras now. So if you have a Flock database, you can access Ring cameras too. All of this doesn't even consider the fact that Virginia cities, counties, or locations that use Flock. The list goes on and on. According to a local paper just 9 days ago, the city of Warrenton, Virginia, voted to, quote, permanently suspend all future discussion and consideration of the Warrenton Police Department's proposal to install automatic license plate readers. So in a 5-to-1 vote with one council member absent, they decided to scrap the license plate readers in Warrenton. Their crimes, by the way, they have about the same crime rate as we do, which is below state average, half of state average. The council did not vote on the matter on its September 9th meeting. Instead, had a head nod discussion. They directed it to the Public Safety Committee to hold discussions with the community. They actually went to their community to hold discussions. You know, something like that would be kind of nice. I'm checking into that. Am I out of time? I'm sorry. Okay.
Excuse me.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Sorry, I was reading that. Yeah, you're out of time, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much for this. We'll look through it.
All right. Thank you.
I was absorbed in it. Okay, Mr. Knight, do we have anyone on Zoom?
Yes, we have one caller.
Okay, welcome caller.
Hey, good evening. I hope everyone can hear me. This is my first time at a city council meeting. I'm a lifelong resident of Staunton, Virginia. My name is Keon Eliascari. I live at 27 North Augusta Street downtown. I'm not sure if this is the right venue for this, but I've been trying to put in a suggestion, really, and I'm open to comments and any ideas that you guys have, and open to engaging other parties and contributing myself. But the suggestion is to, in broader terms, to make the sidewalks in the downtown area of Staunton a little cleaner. We're approaching winter, and I have a 1-year-old puppy. My last dog had suffered from some skin conditions, which the veterinarian suggested was due to chemical-based sidewalk salt. So I'd like to see some things happen just to make the sidewalks a little bit cleaner. Like, for example, possibly some solution that would prevent the use of chemical-based sidewalk salts in Staunton. There's a lot of it going on around Mary Baldwin College and blocks around downtown Staunton. The other thing is, you look at other countries around the world, they have very clean sidewalks. I'm not sure how they do it. I'm not sure if they mandate that local businesses go around and clean their sidewalks outside of their businesses, but especially I love the weekends where we block off Beverly Street, but what ends up happening is there's a lot of food debris and whatnot. If there would be some remediation for that, whether, I can't really speak to what it could be. I have some ideas, but you all probably have the same ideas. So, maybe street sweeping or sidewalk sweeping, or requiring that businesses and local facilities in downtown keep their sidewalks clean. But yeah, so the salt in the winter is the main thing, and just general trash. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. What else say? Ooh. Welcome, Ms. Birch.
Thank you. Constance Birch, 319 Mary Gray Avenue. I'd like to second what this caller said, and not just downtown. As you know, I walk around Greenville Avenue. I don't know who's responsible for the sidewalks. If it's the businesses, somebody needs to kind of remind them. A lot of times the shrubbery is growing over the sidewalk. I go in and tell them about it, and they say they're working on it. But, and if we do have snow this winter, I'll be complaining again, because businesses, maybe downtown they do, but the businesses on Greenville Avenue do not clean their sidewalks. They pay somebody to do the parking lot, but they ignore the pedestrians. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Birch. Mr. Knight, do we have anyone with their hand raised?
We have no hands raised.
Okay.
Hello, my name's Deborah Kushner and I'm a Stanton City resident. Stanton now has 6 surveillance cameras that are recording every passing car at entry and exit roads around town. 3 more are coming. The goal of lowering crime is compelling, but the means to that end, the scrutiny of how that's accomplished needs to be considered. Flock Safety's business has increased 70% since 2023. It's funded by tech-heavy venture capitalists whose portfolios include Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, and Alphabet. Peter Thiel's Palantir was one of Flock's early investments, and AI is the backbone of Flock. Flock has 1,000 corporate customers, including FedEx, Lowe's, Home Depot, and America's largest mall owner, all utilizing Flock cameras that feed into its growing base. As you heard, Ring cameras can share their data with Flock. This database is growing exponentially, just like Flock's profits. The license plate readers are ubiquitous. They can be embedded in roadside speed limit monitors. They're part of Flock's drones that can include thermal imaging. Flock aims for these drones to be deployed within seconds of a crime report. Think of how much data can be collected in these airborne high-resolution cameras traveling at 60 miles an hour as they flit over our private backyards, recording data. Flock now has gunshot sound detectors. Of course, they can also be mistaken as car backfires or fireworks for gunshots, and that happened in Chicago, where police fired at a young boy because of that. They have crash sound detectors and human distress sound detectors, although some states there are eavesdropping laws. Flock is also developing predictive policing to establish relationships between people traveling together, but in different cars. And with AI, Flock's databases plus other data sources are creating people lookup tools that connect individuals with cars, locations, other people, and finding patterns there. Thiel's Palantir is rumored to use Flock and another license plate reader system to match cars with people, addresses, schools, social media, medical appointments, relationships, which AI then uses to create digital profiles. All of this without warrants. We know Palantir works with ICE and has a new $30 million contract with their government for the purpose of targeting immigrants and others for detainment and deporting. Virginia's new license plate reader law isn't strong, and that's why the ACLU warns against these cameras. The feds can subpoena Flock for data, and ACLU says there's nothing Virginia lawmakers can do to stop that except prohibiting cameras altogether. Public safety advocates and law enforcement, such as the International Association of Chiefs of Police, which in 2009 warned against the technology, saying it creates a risk, quote, that individuals will become more cautious in their exercise of their protected rights, end quote. And Flock's got a checkered past. They have failed to obtain permits and licenses. They've inadvertently provided inaccurate information. The database isn't secure. Sharing of access and search results, a reliance on user input reasons for searches, and audits that only discover misuse after the fact. There's a lot on the web about their missteps. More jurisdictions are canceling their contracts. There are 6 more I've seen this week from last time I spoke here. Flock is paying Denver $100,000 for breaches and improper releases of the data. There are lawsuits pending. Warrenton, yay. And I just need to say that I do object to a for-profit company installing citywide surveillance without public input, especially given the current political atmosphere in which our neighbors are being actively hunted. One more thing, a great quote from Edward Snowden: privacy is not about hiding wrongdoing. It's about autonomy, dignity, and the ability to live free from unjust scrutiny. And one more thought, because I've got 10 seconds. Data, once created, is always out there. Thank you so much.
Mr. Knight, do we have anyone with their hand raised on Zoom?
We have no hands raised.
Anyone else in person? Going once, going twice. Okay. Well, thank you very much, and I now adjourn this meeting.